Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. We're chronicling the restoration of my beloved Powell's 46 Dreamfinder. I've had Dreamfinder for 14 years and in that time we've done a lot of work. So she's been re-engined, she's had the hull gel peeled and copper coated, we've had new props due to earth bonding issues, the cabin has been completely refitted, and we've sailed her 540 miles from Southampton round to Fleetwood on the Fylde coast in the Irish Sea. We're now about to tackle the rear deck, which is leaking quite badly, and refit the rear cabin in preparation for selling Dreamfinder and moving on to buying a sailboat to realise my dream of retiring and sailing in the Mediterranean. So I hope you enjoy the channel, and yeah, please, if you like it, subscribe. Thank you. So the end of day 3 sees us coming into Padstow, and as I said in the previous video, our plan was to sort of anchor up in the bay, but we were contacted by the harbour master, and very kindly he offered us the RNLI mooring buoys for the night. So we stayed on the mooring buoys, and having travelled all the way around from Southampton through Salcombe to Falmouth, where we fueled up, we're now at a point where we're looking at crossing over the Celtic Sea at the entrance to the Bristol Channel to Milford Haven for another fuel stop. Now, before we started the journey, I contacted Milford Haven because obviously Wales is in a much stricter lockdown than the rest of England, so I wanted to make sure that we'll be okay, and they were very clear in terms of we weren't allowed to stay overnight, but they were quite happy for us to fuel up. So after a bright start, the weather started to close in on us. That was expected because of the forecast. Partway across the channel, we started to see dolphins.
Hi there, look, really close. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Oh, wow. Ta-da! Hello. Look at more.
So we set off from Padstow at 25 past 10 in the morning, and we got to Milford Haven at 25 past 4, which was pretty much spot on to the passage plan. The plan was to fuel up there. The marina could not have been more helpful. Really welcoming, and we were on the fuel pontoon. Unfortunately, my crew started at this point to stop taking photographs, so the photographs we have here are stock photos, I'm afraid, but it gives you an idea as to what Milford Haven looks like. We took on provisions, and then the plan was to travel from Milford Haven to Skomer Island, which is a nature reserve where we would anchor up for the night. So the weather's starting to close in a little bit. It's getting misty now, but there's no real breeze as such. Skomer Island is a beautiful place, and I wish we could have seen it in better weather. But we found a great anchorage spot on the island, and we had the place to ourselves. It was lovely.
Oh, I know. I know.
The following day dawns very grey and very miserable. My original plan was to travel up to Anglesey, mainly to escape a weather front that's coming in. But we had a bit of a mutiny on board, and the crew decided that they wanted to see a little bit more of Wales. So because we were looking at westerly winds with quite a long fetch, and it was going to be up to 4 to 6 later on, I didn't think it was a very good idea. So I tried to find an anchorage that was at least as sheltered as possible, and we settled on Aberporth, which was a decent journey through. and it would mean that we would be at least sheltered from that westerly and southwesterly winds. Unfortunately, it didn't happen like that, and as when we arrived there, we anchored up, and after a couple of hours, the bay was quite rough and it was getting a bit uncomfortable. So, skipper's decision, I decided that we would actually carry on up to Anglesey as I'd originally planned, and would be anchoring up in just outside Pilot's Cove on the south of the Menai Strait. And my reasoning for that is that it would actually shelter us from those winds. So we motored up there, and I had some very seasick crew, and we arrived at midnight. So, arriving into the south of the Menai Strait in the dark, a place I've never been before, which is very, very shallow, was quite an experience, and I really quite enjoyed it. But I'm really glad I had got 3 different chart plotters with me and had done quite a lot of research in terms of the voyage and what have you. So the idea was that we would anchor up, as I say, outside Pilot's Cove. Pilot's Cove itself is only about a metre deep, but there is a 2 to 3 metre pool just outside. So we dropped anchor in that pool, and the weather when we got there was really calm, and behind that bar there was again quite pleasant. The next day, I had a conference call booked with a potential client in the afternoon. The tide was wrong for us to go through the Menai Strait anyway, and so we elected to wait until the evening before going through the Menai Strait. We'd had a long day the previous day, so the whole idea was that we'd have a bit of a rest and wait for the tide. That didn't quite work out as I wanted it to, as you'll find out in the next video. Okay guys, so that's it for another video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and click the subscribe button below.